Ian, do you know what's spookier than seeing a black cat on Halloween? It's shaving your balls with anything other than Manscaped, who are sponsoring this segment. When it comes to below-the-waist grooming, there's no need to carve your pumpkins this Halloween because Manscaped is here to upgrade your grooming experience. Go from a bite-sized candy bar to a king-size candy bar and join the 2 million men worldwide by going to manscaped.com for 20% off and free shipping with the code CU Podcast.
Have you ever tried to trim your balls and it turned into a Freddy Krueger film? Well, luckily, Manscaped is here to save the day and make sure you're smelling fresh with their new refined body wash. Fellas, the ladies love their signature scent and it will scare away those vampires. Unlock your confidence with the Performance Package 4.0. Woo. Inside, you'll find the holy grail of men's grooming items. It's a full moon out there and the werewolf in your pants is howling. Ooh. It's time to tackle that problem with the Lawnmower 4.0. Their finely tuned pube products feature a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents thanks to their advanced skin-safe technology. The Performance Package 4.0 also includes the Weed Whacker. The Weed Whacker is a nose and ear hair trimmer that provides proprietary skin-safe technology that helps prevent nicks, snags, and tugs in all those delicate spots. Seal the deal with Manscaped's liquid formulations. Their Crop Preserver Ball Deodorant and Crop Reviver Ball Toner will make sure your pumpkins stay fresh. Manscaped even threw in 2 free gifts to their Performance Package 4.0, the Manscaped Boxers and the Shed Travel Bag. Bring your comfort in boxers to another level. And if you're looking like Wolverine and haven't cut your nails recently, be sure to look into Shears 2.0 Nail Kit.
Get 20% off plus free shipping with the code CU Podcast at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping with the code CU Podcast at manscaped.com. Say trick or treat to your beautiful new Halloweeny with Manscaped. Ian, we got voicemails.
We do.
Let's do. We love all the voicemails. Try to keep them short, 20, 30 seconds. Anchor.fm/the CU Podcast.
Please and thank you.
Huh?
Please and thank you.
Please and thank you. It's good for the editing, good for the digest. This is the first one from, I think we skipped this one by accident the other week.
Hey guys, it's Brandon from Wisconsin, host of the Creative Outlet Podcast, coming at you with another question. So earlier this summer, I picked up the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles, the newest entry in what is now one of my favorite game series. But of course, every time a new game from that series comes out, I always think back to how when I first saw Ace Attorney, I thought that would be kind of boring. So of course, that got me thinking, what are some of your favorite games that when you first saw it, you thought would be pretty boring or could just be bad conceptually? Thanks, guys.
Good example, I guess, for me recently is I started playing Doki Doki Literature Club Plus on the Switch. It's a visual novel. It is it's one of those games where the less said about it and the less you know about it going in, the better. But I really thought it was just kind of be. I've tried reading visual novels; they don't always hold my attention.
Isn't Ace Attorney almost like a visual novel?
Yes, which is why this kind of made me think of it. But Ace Attorney has some puzzle solving and some adventure game stuff too. I played the
first game or two I played.
Yeah, they're good.
Yeah.
So as I've started playing through Doki Doki Literature Club Plus, I really have enjoyed it. So visual novels, I think, if they're done well, are probably the ultimate definition of a game like that for me, where I think it's going to be lame, but if it's done well, I end up really, really enjoying it because then it becomes like reading a book with some interaction. I felt the same way about the Ace Attorney games.
I played one or two of the Professor Laytons back in the day, maybe on a flash card for the DS. And I don't know if I thought that would be bad, but I was like, okay, what are you going to do with all this puzzle stuff? I was like, oh, it's interesting how they tied it into a story. It was interesting.
Sure.
I got into it. Some of those puzzles were super tough. I almost feel like going back and playing them. Some of those are just like, I have no idea where to start in some of those. That series still going strong, right? They've done a bunch of those.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, man, this little boy, Tommy Tyler Amico, man, go to that dang old website, man, this little magician, man, just talking to dang old Metroid Prime, lying through that boy's dang old, lying through that dang old teeth, man. Go up there, type www.wcom, tylerico.wcom, man, little old, click on that gum link, man, little old lady wailing, man.
I think in theory, when you want to do shtick, you stick to like one theme. Like just stick to one. Don't like cross over into like I'm gonna try to do a Cajun thing and then come back to it was all over the place. I don't know.
That hurt my brain. That's gonna be a no for me, dog.
Yeah. Dog. Yeah, that no. Why did I skip that one? I think that was whatever.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Mike from California. My question is, what would you say are maybe the top 3 or 4 third-party video game companies that are the most significant to the video game industry as a whole?
Wow, that's a tough question. That's a good question.
Capcom, Square, Konami, stuff like that. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thanks.
The top 3 currently going, or like all time? Because now you have these gigantic companies like Ubisoft and Activision Blizzard. That's a tough one.
I mean, it's tough. I think the initial response, especially for a lot of people who played retro games, would probably be like Konami, Capcom, Square, and I would.
That's 3. You're done.
Well, I know there's that's because now I have a little bit more
Namco? That'd be more the 80s.
Namco,
In the
yes.
80s. Oh, yeah.
But 80s, and not so much as like they got big as a home developer later, I feel like as a powerhouse for consoles when they really started releasing stuff. I feel like that was like later on. One that I do want to mention now, though, that I think is absolutely worth mentioning is Atlas. Atlas as a publisher took very niche games and made them very much mainstream. And I think the modern RPG landscape would look different without Atlas being around.
Hello guys, this is Cliff Conway. I wanted to know what you thought of the Fallout series, specifically Fallout 3 and New Vegas. Last year I beat both these games for my first time, and I really enjoyed them, and thought that they did live up to the hype. I wanted to know what you thought about these and what they did for gaming, because I never really heard you guys talk about them. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Fallout 3, I enjoyed a lot. Fallout New Vegas is probably... I've already said multiple times, I think, this podcast, that I don't really play open world games. However, if I had to pick one that I really liked, it would be Fallout New Vegas. I thought the story was good. I thought the interactions, the things that changed based on your choices were good. I enjoyed all the gameplay elements, and I love the VATS targeting system. I think it's super fun. So I don't have as much love for Fallout 3, but I did really like New Vegas, and I hated Fallout 4. I would love to see a Fallout 5 that doesn't have the community building stuff in it.
Hey guys, John from Lloydminster, Canada. As a kid, I jumped ship straight from the NES to the Genesis and then back to the N64. So I didn't play too many Super Nintendo games until GBA re-releases and eventually the Virtual Console. Are there any classic games you didn't play until they showed up later on other systems? Thank you.
Until they didn't show up on other systems.
Until they showed up on other systems.
Oh, until they showed up. Okay.
The big one for me, and it's not that I didn't play it when I was younger, I did here and there, but I didn't really give the Donkey Kong Country series a fair shake until adulthood. And I mean, like, within the past few years, because Vonnie loves that series. So I sat down and really started to play him again. And you know what? I like them a lot more than I thought I did.
I'm probably in the same boat. I didn't enjoy them for some reason at the time.
I hated them as a kid. I really did not I did not like the graphical style.
See, I didn't like the mechanics. To me were weird at the time. I just wasn't used to it versus a traditional platformer. Maybe that's why.
But going back to them, I really enjoy them.
I'm trying to think, was there one from the Super Nintendo era I missed? Because that was I basically only played a Super Nintendo for like 2 years until I was off of it for PC gaming. Was there any big Super Nintendo title that, looking back, I might have missed out on until another release? I was going to say Mega Man X. I never got into Mega Man X at all. I don't think I've never played through any of them. Mega Man X is that could have been one, but that's a tough one.
I think for a lot of people it would be the RPGs.
Your RPGs,
because not every kid has all that time.
You'd have $80 to spend on each of them,
right? To buy them all or blow through them all. So I feel like if this question was asked at large, a lot of the answers would be various RPGs.
This is Paul from Raleigh, NC.
Hey, Paul.
So here's the deal. You're walking around your home one day and you notice a door you've never seen before. You open it to find a small room with a light gun game, an arcade racer, and a pinball machine. What 3 games would you love to see in that room? For me, it would be Operation Wolf, Daytona USA, and Medieval Madness.
Man, Paul always has these hypotheticals that I got to think about.
I like you, Paul.
Light gun, pinball, racer.
Just based on my current mood, But probably close to all time. I would go Suntar for the pinball machine, Ridge Racer, one of the versions of Ridge Racer for the arcade racer, and for the light gun game, I would go with Point Blank.
Medieval Madness is my favorite as well. I mean, I try to think of another one. No, that's the one being the most playable for me that I want to come back to. Light gun game is tougher for me. There's never a light gun game that I'm like, oh, I absolutely have to play this game whenever it's in front of my face. I could go. Operation Wolf is too simple, but that's the classic one. That's like the, almost prototypical one you think of. I love Terminator 2. That could be up there for me. Terminator 2 Arcade is really good. I might put that one in. It's a great movie tie-in as well. And then for racing, oof. What racing one would be one that I'd be like, okay, I can be okay with this one all the time. And it's going to be a weird answer or one that's kind of just shallow, but I don't know. I had a lot of fun in Jersey Shore playing Cruising USA. Excellent that I had a great time playing that. It's goofy and fun. Nintendo racy type of game. Nintendo Racer.
You know who's goofy and fun? You are.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Phil Bell, aka Phil Bowser. Question for you this time is, what are your memories growing up going to rental stores for movies or video games? Personally, we had Blockbuster, Hollywood Video, and even drugstores used to have rental sections. I remember going to Blockbuster, and my first experience with the N64, I rented the unit from them. And even remember Blockbuster having tournaments similar to World Championships, but you would play like NBA Jam. But love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, the Blockbuster
Thanks.
Championship from like 93, 94. I entered that.
My memories of rental stores. I mean, for video games, it always comes down to Record Theater, which was a small independent record shop in Buffalo, New York. Had a couple of locations. I think they still have at least one or two. And that was where I rented almost all of my Nintendo games from. There was a couple other places.
Ton around me.
Didn't do a whole lot of rentals like once I got into like the Genesis era and stuff, but during the NES era, I rented all the time. I also rarely rented for PlayStation. I didn't have an N64 at the time, but I rarely did like PlayStation rentals. I had friends though who did that all the time, were making use of video game rentals. And I do recall not only drugstores, but like supermarkets I've talked about having rental sections. That was real popular for a while for every place to basically offer some form of not just video rental, but video game rental.
Yeah, my supermarkets, I don't remember having that, but maybe we didn't pay attention. But no, there were so many mom and pops around.
Yeah.
This is before, Palmer Video. This is before Blockbusters started coming in, like mid-90s and wiping out even stuff like Palmer and things like that. Easy Video was an East Coast chain. I don't know if you've seen those. Smaller chain. That's where I think I said I rented TurboGrafx games. The one store that had TurboGrafx games, it was about 15 minutes away, 10, 15 minutes. But it was like, we went there. That's where I played. Because as a kid, I was like, where did I play Dragon Spirit? I couldn't think about where I played Dragon Spirit. I never played on the NES. I'm like, I must have rented it from that store one weekend and played Dragon Spirit. And maybe a couple other Turbo games that I never recalled owning, but somehow played. But it was fun. I rented games from my parents twice a month. Sometimes more in the summer, more than that, because it's the summer. What are you can't go outside every day in the 95-degree heat. Lots of rentals. I would go to the local Indian family-owned place that was nearby, and they had a little wire shelf of games. I think I told you before, they had the really weird red multi-cards. First time I saw a multi-card ever. And I was like, wow, 200 games on a cart? And it had the our minds were blown because it had the alternate Tetris that you couldn't find, It had
Tengen Tetris.
It had Tengen Tetris. We're like, what? And then it had a bunch of games you never like. When you're a kid and you find something like that, you're not sure what it is, and then when you discover games you never even heard of before, that's like a whole other world. Like, oh, you're playing all these Famicom games that you didn't know they're Famicom games. Like, what the hell are these? Oh, these are pretty fun. Or this is fun. Like, it's interesting sort of concept.
Bird Week?
Other than that, though, just the memories of walking into all these different. I mean, literally, we probably rented from at the peak 8 different stores. They were everywhere in the mid to late 80s. They were everywhere. I remember this is going more about the games, about the movies and the games. I remember being sort of like titillated by the horror section because it was like taboo and like it was like, oh, you're like 5 or 6.
I used to love walking through the horror section. Just looking at the covers enough was...
Yeah, there was one that haunts me to this day because someone out there doesn't know what I'm talking about. It must have been a series because I remember seeing multiple colors of this cover.
Mm-hmm.
It was a guy like in a cape or something. Woman was getting sawed in half on the cover with blood. It's just seared in my memory seeing this when I was 5. But I remember there being multiple ones with the same cover.
Mm-hmm.
And it was literally like getting sawed, like blonde woman or whatever, and blood was like, that was the cover of that. But like I was too scared to like look at the back of it.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like right near the bottom. I was like, oh, it's right there. That was a mom and pop. And I never remember renting a game there. I remember saying, someone please tell me in the comments what horror series or movie that was. This is by the mid 80s. I was like 5 and I saw that. Haunts me to this day. Like I would just be like looking at it like, what the fuck? It's violent on the cover.
Hola, amigos. Amigos? Boys, it's Matt from Georgia. Ian, Pat, love what you guys do. I got a question for you today. I don't know if you're the experts I needed, but you're the experts that I got, so I think I'm going to give it a shot here. I'm having an issue playing classic video games, and I'll enjoy it. I'm finding myself in nostalgia. It's just wonderful. I get to the final boss, and I want to just set the game aside. I feel like I can't end it.
Yeah, that's something that happened to me as a kid, where it's almost like you were almost sad that you ended the game because it was such a journey.
That happens to me all the time. I'm notorious for not finishing games in RPGs, but what I don't mention is that I get to the end of almost all of them.
Oh.
And then I walk away.
Just walk away.
Happens to me with books too. I get to like the last 20 pages and it's like I gotta really like sit down and force myself to finish the book. I have a tough time finishing narrative arcs, I guess.
Okay. We'll do a couple more here. What was I going to say? I was going to respond to that. Yeah. Oh, no. Before I go to the next question. It was depressing in a way when you saw the ending of a game because like a game like Contra, you finally beat Contra, we'll just say. Well, I guess with the 30 life code, it's easier. But it represented something where like you can never have that same experience again playing that game.
Sure.
There's nothing new to discover. That's it. Especially when they're hard-ass NES games where, yeah, you can beat it in like 20 minutes if you're good, but it takes you so long to get to that point. And then it's like, it's relief, but it's also like sadness. Because we don't have the selection of games we have now. You were stuck with a certain amount of games, and that's
right.
it. I mean, games are obviously, replayable. Movies are rewatchable, but you never get that same experience ever again.
Sure.
Going through the first time you watch something, for example. All right, we'll do a few more here.
Hi, Pat and Ian. My name is Ryan. I'm from Georgia. I'm a big fan of your podcast. I like to listen to you guys while I walk my dogs or when I go on long trips.
Nice.
My question is primarily for Ian, though, Pat, you kind of touched on this in a previous episode. So if you have anything more you'd like to add, I'd love to hear it.
Sure.
My question is, in terms of role-playing games, do you guys prefer turn-based combat or real-time action-based combat?
What do you prefer, Ian?
I prefer turn-based combat, and these days
Combat?
I prefer
Combat.
like grid-based turn-based combat, like something with a little bit more strategy. So the tactics type games, Fire Emblem.
I haven't played a lot of those, but that's probably
I'd like there to be a little bit more meat. That said, I do like some basic turn-based type stuff. Like I love the Etrian Odyssey series. Those are like the first-person dungeon crawlers, and those are real basic wizardry style turn-based combats. As long as there's enough room, skills, and effects at play to create some sort of strategy, I'm happy. But the ability to move around and position yourself on a battlefield is fun too.
Yeah, that's how I mean, with games like Civilization, things like that, where you actually feel like you're affecting the outcome directly by positioning with using terrain and having the right sort of units. That would always be preferable to me versus click a button, attack, or like.
Now, problematically, the more options I get and the bigger the grid gets, the worse I am at the game. So I'm much more likely to do better at a standard turn.
Well, how big can the grids get in those tactics games?
Oh, they can get big.
Like 30,
I just mean the more ability to choose you add, the less likely I am to make the best strategic decision.
Yeah, honestly, that might be why RPGs never really appealed to me by and large, because the monotony and the feeling of you're not really doing much. you level up your character until it's powerful enough to attack enemies.
Something like Final Fantasy does not do a great job, especially like some of the mid Final Fantasies, like 6 maybe, 7 definitely, 9. The status effects are more of like an annoyance. You're just like, just brush them off. When you start playing an RPG where there's like status effects that really mean something, then there is some fun in that, trying to mitigate the problems and lessen the damage and things like that when you can actually work strategy in. But I think if your main experience, especially if you're thinking like Final Fantasies for JRPGs, they've always done a pretty bad job at that. That really does feel like, especially for like the first half of the game, is very much just to hit the button to get through it.
Attack.
Yeah.
Grind. All right, I think we might have someone else checking.
Oh, we might have one more.
Oh, hey, Pat, it's Tommy. I just heard the horrible news about your Twitter account. And wouldn't you know it, some people actually blamed me for it. Can you believe? All right, it was me. But I promise my heart was in the right place. Because you're only following less than 100 people on there. You're probably not getting all the information you need every day. Is it because you don't want to be judged for who you follow like someone else you know? I don't know. Let's see if they do judge you for following Alex Jones. Oh, he's banned from Twitter. Oh, well. How about Ann Coulter? Yeah, now we're talking. Better be careful, Pat. People might think you have a little thing for her. Oh, I know. Let's follow Pizza Hut. Yeah, good luck explaining your way out of that one. But you should really tweet something to connect with your followers. I got it. You know what's bullshit? Women's rights. Pat, you can't tweet that. Boom, you just did. Oh, boy, you're in big trouble. Oh, hey, the quartering just followed you. See how it helps you build friendships?
Oh, Tommy, how dare you have me follow Pizza Hut?
You rapscallion.
My rep is totally shot now.
Yeah.
Tommy, how dare you?
How dare you?
How'd you get that password, Tommy? Oh, man. There was some people actually suggesting that. They're like,
I know.
Saw some pro.
It wasn't some. It was pretty much every freaking person in the replies.
Yeah, that would be well worth their time. A friend of mine actually said that. He texted me. I don't mean to be conspiratorial, but could that have been someone from Intellivision? I said, is that where we're at? Where if I get hacked, you think it's Intellivision going after me with some corporate espionage? That'd be funny though. Not gonna admit it. That would make the documentary that will eventually come out.